to, I'm Hillary.
Hey, I'm Dirk.
And we're going to actually, as people are coming on, hello everybody, welcome. We're going to go straight into our breath. It's a beautiful way to start the entire hour that we have to share together today.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dirk, if you want to.
Yeah, welcome everyone.
That.
So good to see so many people coming on board. Maybe you can mute yourself if you aren't already muted. There's maybe one or two people who are not muted, so that it is quiet. Just notice where you are right now in your chair, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in France, whether you are in whatever country like South America, Central America, Europe. Just take a breath. And when you breathe deeper than you would normally do, things start shifting in your physiology. We know that from all the science behind it. And we feel it especially. Just acknowledge how you feel. Don't try to push anything out. Just be here, now, and breathe. That's all you need to do. And while you're breathing slower and deeper than you would normally do, just imagine you have two lungs in your heart you're breathing through. You're feeling the air flow through those two little lungs when you're breathing. That's all you have to do. We don't have to be smart with this. We don't have to occupy our mind with this. Just feel the breath going through. This is not only how we ground ourselves, this is actually how we start becoming more kind with ourselves and with other people. This is how we affect the field. And we get into this today. But just feel when you're breathing, even when I'm talking, feel the air flow through the area of your heart. Just go slower and deeper. And we know this is how we create coherence. And the beauty is that we can give our minds a break. Just be with our awareness in the center of our chest and breathe. Yesterday falls away. This afternoon and tomorrow is not there. We're here, centered in our heart space. So free. Because nothing can bother us in this moment. This is the moment of perfection. It's the moment of creation. It's the moment of love. It's also the moment of clarity. Just take one more minute or so for yourself to anchor yourself in your heart space while you breathe. When thoughts come up, it's okay. Don't be critical. Don't blame yourself. Just bring yourself back to the breathing through your heart.
Again, welcome everybody. A few people have checked in with the chat, but it would be great if you could put in where you're from today, who's checking in, and maybe if this is your first, second, or sixth time you've joined us. We're always curious to know. So we have France and Mexico, Brooklyn, first time. So exciting. We can only see a few faces on this view, but hello to all of the people that are returning. Hello to the guys who are joining us, Claude and Bill and Tom. I can see Renee from the south of France. Hello, Renee. And for all of you others, I think I saw Renata, 2 different Renatas maybe here today.
Usually we say goodbye at the end, but maybe just say hi to one another. Hey, we're here. It's beautiful.
So great. There's Crystal, and yeah, so great to see everybody. So today we're going to go into a little bit of the science of the toroidal field, which really does relate to coherence, which is the whole purpose of these webinars. We're talking about coherence, and what we just did starting the call with our breath is exactly that. It's giving our system a chance to just settle in and become a little more present, basically. And so there's lots of different definitions for coherence. It's like an entrainment. It's when we get into flow, but it's also a pause. It's coming to that choice point when we have an actual moment to know where we're at in our system and be okay with it. So we're going to be going over the toroidal field, and then we're going to have breakout rooms for about 15 minutes or so. And we'll explain that when we get to it. And then we have a little announcement at the end. And then we like to close the call, as always, with again. So we can get started now with basically, it's kind of another word. Like coherence is a tricky word for a lot of people. They don't really know what it means. Some people have actually described in past calls that they know when they're in coherence, but they didn't know that's what it was called, right? So that's the science behind being in a great place or a place of ease. So if you want to maybe kick off the science of how that relates to the toroidal field, that's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and welcome to everybody who joined in the meantime. We were just breathing together and we get into the toroidal field. I have to admit, I'm a dreamer. And the more we know about the science, the more we get into our heads and we try to explain what, for example, coherence means. I see that a lot with people. You know, we work around the world and people get stuck in the concept of what is coherence. If you're a dreamer and if you kind of feel into the situations, it's different. And it's the same if you ask people, you know, give me an exact definition what it is like to fall in love. Good luck. And so we'll take you now through a few slides that gives you a bit of the science behind the toroidal field, which is really, really cool.
And can I just share one of the chats? There's some really good ones in here, you guys. I love them all. But one of the people, Trisha, says, coherence, it's that space when your pets all want to be next to you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. It's so true. Okay, share screen. And we're going here.
These are some really cool images.
Let me see how we do this. Yeah, you might say, what is this? It looks like an eyeball, but it's actually a photo taken by NASA. I bet it has been photoshopped a bit to make it, to give it nicer colors. But this is our planet Earth, of course. You can see the continent of South America on the left. You can see the continent of Africa on the right of this pupil. And this pupil is actually the core, the iron core, and the magma, see that around it. This is what the Earth looks like from the inside. And it's actually pretty cool. Then you might think, okay, what does this all mean? These lines around it. And what you will see is on the left is beautiful vertical lines, all beautifully aligned. What I would say looks very coherent. And on the right side, it's all like a bit more wavy. It's distorted in a way. So for those who know, it's easy, but for those who are not so familiar with this, you might think, wow, why is he talking about this? Well, on the right side, this distorted, more wavy fields is actually caused by emissions from the sun, solar flares, solar storms, emissions from electromagnetic field from the sun, and they affect our electromagnetic field, because what you're looking at is basically a visualization of the electromagnetic field. While you're looking at this and you see the distortion, you can still see a certain pattern. You see here, I tried to come up with my, it doesn't matter. You see here on the left, you see these beautiful lines, and this is a toroidal field. It's a toroidal field. And I will show you, you know all about the toroidal field, because you see in the north, you see the North Pole, and on the south is actually the South Pole. And we know this. If we take a compass and we have it out there and the needle points in a certain direction, why does it do that? You know, why does it point to the north? Well, that's because of the electromagnetic field. If you look at it from a different angle and you want to see, you say, what is this toroidal field? This is actually what it looks like. This is what I like you to show, to look at and think, wow, just imagine this field. And we'll show it one more time because it's very powerful. It doesn't move in one direction. If you truly look at it, it basically moves in all directions. Imagine the field. We are in this field. And this is why we bring it up. This is the essence of life on Earth. And these days, with all the things that are going on, political talk, people are getting really nasty with each other, we forget that we're all part of this beautiful toroidal field. And look at this. For those who didn't know, is that a coincidence? No, of course not. This is the intelligence of the universe. We have the same toroidal field generated by our hearts. When it beats, it emits electrical signal. You can measure that on an ECG. So you can see that on an ECG, but you can also capture a magnetic field around that. It's physics. When you have electricity, there is also a magnetic field. And the heart is the strongest generator of an electromagnetic field in our body. But guess what? Like a radio station, when you receive it on your receiver, it is not limited to the radio broadcasting station. It goes through the air into the field, and we receive the signal and we hear music. It's the same with our hearts. It emits a field and it's being sent into the larger toroidal field. You see here two smaller, a double toroidal field, one around the heart and one because of all the energy flow around our body. How cool is that? But now think of what's going on in the news these days, what's going on in politics, the fear of people, the anger at some point. Guess what? We're communicating through this field. So it's so important for you and I to create coherence in this field. I want to show you something. I just made it up now, but look at this. Our fields are interacting all the time. And this is why Hillary and myself, feel it's so important at this given moment on the planet, in the universe. There is a huge shift happening, and especially from the more esoteric, groups of people who say, the moment is now, there's an energetic field, there's a portal opening. Well, it's true. And it's also about our consciousness. And we also talk a lot about that in spiritual circles. And we say, oh, we lived human consciousness. Yes. But look at this. The moments that we find very uncomfortable for ourselves right now, sitting at home, some people wearing face masks, some people do things that they've never done before. But some people walk their children more often than they did before. Some people connect in deeper ways with their neighbors because we have time. We have time to think and to see through all the silliness, all the dysfunctional things that are happening on the planet. And I don't know if you realize this, but Hillary and I know is this is a huge moment of awakening. This is a huge moment where the consciousness of us as a civilization increases. It changes so much. And if you know this planet that you saw on the first slide has this coherent, beautiful field around it, this toroidal field, we affect this field all the time. So we affect the earth in itself, not just because we have less exhaust from cars and airplanes, or that there's less cruise liners out there in the oceans. It is the energetic field that changes as well. That's beautiful. So just keep that in mind. Really keep that in mind. And it even affects the DNA in our body. Every single cell of the 50 trillion cells in our body, they're listening to this because every single every single cell has this same toroidal field around it. So when we create coherence inside of our DNA. We create coherence in the heart, in the brain, and the rest of our nervous system and physiology. We create coherence for each other. We create coherence for our neighbors. We ripple it out into the field. How cool is that? So this is basically what we wanted to share with you for a few slides. Maybe just look at this one, the planet. It is a beautiful planet. And just one more thing here is that Edgar Mitchell, one of the guys who have been walking on the moon, one of the astronauts, he had this vision, of the Earth, and there's some really beautiful videos about him. He's talking about this visceral feeling that he had, when he saw the beautiful planet and he saw the moon and it was just floating through space. And he says, yeah, we're all together in this same boat, in this same bathtub of beautiful coherent field. It's not so esoteric as you think. It is all super science based. And it's really, really cool. So again, this is what we wanted to share in terms of slides. We're going back to here. I hope you got a little bit of an insight of how this field works. What do you feel when you look at this?
Well, okay, so one of the comments that I see and read and hear everywhere is we're all in this together. And I sometimes have this sort of cynical response to it because I feel that we've never been more divided in so many ways. But that one image of the toroidal field moving and then two people like this, we are in this together. So we are affecting one another. Mm-hmm. And so when we're teaching coherence, we're understanding, we're showing the practice, we're practicing coherence because it starts here. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with Dirk. And then you're affecting the people in your space. And then that's rippling out. So it always starts here. And, they always say, like, put your oxygen mask on before you help someone else. But we get caught up in these times and in normal times, and, what we call normal times. Will it ever go back to normal? Well, what is our normal? We often, based on our past, our programming, trauma, whatever it is, we've come to these new normals that just aren't healthy. And this has given us a moment to pause and actually come back to our own systems, our own hearts, our own intelligence and intuition, And that is actually Renee shared in the last call from the south of France. She said, you know, you might not have a device to show you the biofeedback on your actual, you know, phone if you have the app, but your biofeedback is the people around you and how they respond to you and how you interact and how they interact back. And that leads us back to that comment. It's when your animals want to be around you. People know when, you know, they feel good around you. People know even with no words, by body language, when somebody is coming from a place of unrest or stress or anxiety or fear. You can feel that out in the world right now for sure. So the toroidal field is here. It's in our hearts. It's around our system. And then we're consistently interacting. And with the work that Dirk and I do, if we are not in a good place together, coming from a place that is literally coherent, our message does not come across in a coherent way, and it maybe doesn't even land properly for people. And so we know this, you know, life happens. It doesn't mean that you don't have moments where you're overwhelmed or you're anxious or you're tired or you're frustrated, but it's how long do you choose to stay there? Right? How long? Because we know through the practice of coherence that when we interrupt that loop and we give ourselves a moment, we have a new set of hormones literally coming through our systems. And then that is broadcast in that toroidal field that Dirk showed us. It is broadcast out to everything. So just like the solar flares come in and affect the field around the earth, which then in turn affects us, we can literally affect the field.
We are the solar flare.
We are literally the solar flare, and they look at times in the past how that lines up. They look at all of the things that big events, world wars, all of these things that are happening, and they happen when there's been a solar flare, and they sometimes happen for years. And they have a timeline. We should actually find that. There's a timeline that shows all of the things that have happened in over like worldwide based on the solar flares and our toroidal field. And so the mission of Coherence Hotspot is to actually have enough people, which is, you know, a pretty cool story how we came up with the number.
Yeah, share that.
Why don't you share it?
Okay, well, last summer we were actually together with Roland McCready, the research director of HeartMath, and some of you have heard it, but and we were curious about the impact on the field that we have, and we said, hey, Roland, can you give us a number? You know, how many people do we need actually globally to fully have the field drop into coherence? And I'm not sure, you know, this is probably not a figure that is officially being published because there's always a lot of, you know, influence on that. But he says, yeah, I have some information. And actually we need about 350,000 people to affect the entire field to have a drop into coherence. And you think 350,000 people, are you kidding me? On 7 billion people? That's us. We are gonna do this. You know, we're working towards this with all the hotspots that we have around the planet. So this is really, really cool. It is hard at the same time because some of you might think, what does he mean, you know, 350,000 people? It's not like winning the elections where you need to have 51% or so. It is non-linear. Here's the thing, and this is something that we talk about later because we have a program coming up for you. The brain functions in a linear way. So the brain cannot understand this really. It's hard for the brain. So this is why we think, wow, you know, the way we affect so many people, that means is that you and us here each, we have about an effect on 20,000 people. If we're fully coherent, people feel that. And I love what you shared, by the way, about, you know, what Renee shared about the biofeedback of our environment. I love it. And when you shared that, a story came up because I saw some faces of some veterans that we work with. And when we are in the program and we come together and some of them have service dogs, when we start breathing and we start dropping into coherence with all of them, these hyper little service dogs, as they sometimes are really nervous being around these people, they just lie on their chest, for example, and it's like this, and they drop into a beautiful calm state. This is when you know when you're coherent. And this is actually even more fun than just having a green light coming on or so. And I love, we use the device from HeartMath all the time. We promote it, we sell it. But it's pretty cool because we're humans. We connect with nature, which are animals, which are plants, trees, everything. So yeah. It is, and this time, I wanted to add this to it. This time is so unique, what I said earlier. We know that because of a lot of the planetary shift that happened, especially in 2012, changed the field. And you maybe can make sense of this. Even if you're a really sciencey person, like if all these planets have a certain electromagnetic field around them, and we move really fast through the universe as a solar system, really, really fast. And we come every time. It's like being on a train looking outside and seeing a different environment. And that's the same with us here in this solar, what is this? This is the solar, what do you call it? The solar system, racing through the universe. But it also means is that we're exposed to different electromagnetic fields. And as you know now, is that these electromagnetic fields affect us, our physiology, but more importantly, our awareness, our consciousness. Because that doesn't live inside of our body, we are part of this consciousness. And that is the cool part. So if you think that we are living in a hard time, yes, we might. And people are dying. Yes, people are dying every day. People are dying of hunger in Africa every day. And we don't see that in the news, but a lot is happening. A lot is happening. But at the same time, the planet is taking a pause and it's awakening. It is awakening to a different level of consciousness. And that makes us get into making different decisions, connecting in different ways with one another, with our coworkers, with our colleagues, with our spouses, with the people that we actually don't always like so much. We're more open because we realize we're in the same soup, the electromagnetic soup, so to speak. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so.
Yeah, there's a comment. There's so many comments. I love that you guys are communicating via the chat. It's beautiful. And just one of the last ones that comes in from Francesca, it says, I love taking my daughter Charlotte to Stanley Park. We drop into deep coherence with nature. It literally puts her in a meditative state all the time, and I melt just witnessing her. So when we put ourselves in a place where we know it helps facilitate that, that is also key. Last week on the call in the breakout room, we talked about adding in. What did you add in the last days, weeks, or months that felt good? Something that you weren't maybe doing before. And there was all sorts of sharing that came through. And a lot of it was being out in nature. A lot of it was hanging out with your animals, with your dogs, and with children. And so it's really a beautiful thing to understand that we are all connected in the field. The toroidal field is where it starts with us. So bringing that in, you just said, being able to make different decisions. We'd like to go into the breakout room, and sort of the topic for the breakout room today is, what can you see? What intention could you set for this week coming up? My dog's coming up right now as I'm talking. What intention could you set this week? What tool could you use that might be a little bit different than what you've used in the past? So we know that there's been challenging times. We know that there's been a change in schedules and routine. So essentially it's going into the room and sharing with the others. Now that you know this field, you have a little bit of an understanding. How could you reset and shift your intention for this week? And it could be for a specific item that you're, trying to deal with, a situation, or it could just be a really broad one, a different type of approach and an application.
Yeah, and usually when we bring up the breakout rooms, there's usually a few people disappearing, and we realize that not everyone is maybe comfortable, or some people think, I'm not so sure I want to talk to other people, or let alone turn on my camera. That's okay. You know, we're here all together in this beautiful group together, where there is a specific reason that you're here. There is a reason. And so acknowledge that. You don't have to share. There's also people who love to share, usually a lot. And we're asking these people, just stick with and be respectful with one another. And there's one very simple reason to be truly, truly listening to one another and speaking from your heart, is that before we go into the breakout groups, we just do 2 minutes of breathing. And I'd like to ask you, is that when you are breathing and you are feeling that the air flows through your heart space, maybe anchor that. And according to Hillary, I should explain the word anchor, because Hillary says, you know, I don't always understand what's anchoring. Well, I know what an anchor is. So just hold on to this feeling when you speak and when you listen. Feel here and breathe through that instead of getting too deep in your head. Yes.
So yeah, so again, I can't tell you enough. It's just from the heart. We're going to go into some breathing for a couple of minutes. And then when we hit the breakout button, it's just your name and where you're from, and maybe what you'll use this week. What different tool or what type of different approach could you take moving forward?
So if you take a breath for a minute or so and just fully feel.
And I'm sorry, we're all going to come back afterwards, so don't leave after the breakout room. We all come back together again. We've got more to share. Just have like maybe another 30 seconds or so breath work.
So what is really important, in case your connection drops and you come back, you'll be assigned to a random room. So you might not enter into the same room. So we'll open up rooms now. It's fun. Enjoy. We'll be in one of the rooms and we come through.
Yeah, you might see us popping in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, have fun, and we'll see you back in the main room.
Let me see if it works. We're joining room.
It's Dirk and Hillary. Hello.
Hi, Cami. Hi, Paige. Hi.
That's fantastic. I have so many people that I'm going to send the link so that they can understand what I don't have the words to explain. So thank you, Dirk.
Perfect. Well,
yeah.
The only thing what I want to say is that we're moving through the room, so we'll go in and out different rooms. It might be a little awkward in the beginning for people, but why don't you maybe just share what was it? What was it, Hillary? Can you repeat it?
I'm just setting my timer. So essentially, where or what you could use, what people could use in a situation moving forward for the week, because we'll check in with you again next Sunday, that you could approach a situation a little differently. So maybe something that happened last week or whenever, and you can see yourself now with the understanding of the toroidal field, how you could approach it a little bit differently.
Yeah. Okay, we have about 10 more minutes or so. So be really mindful of the sharing. Maybe Monique, you want to start sharing something like this?
Okay, I can start. My name's Monique, and I live in Kelowna, British Columbia. Hello, everyone. What intention? I think I tend to be an overthinker, which gets me into trouble with myself and sometimes with others. So I think that something I could work on this week is to approach things with the attitude of enjoying it and having fun with it, rather than being so serious and analyzing things and thinking about things. So that's what I'm going to work on this week.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I resonate with that.
I have to give Dirk thanks for that suggestion, because I spoke with him yesterday and we talked about that a little bit, and it really made an impression on me. So thank you, Dirk.
Well, thank you for sharing. And so we move to another room, but just maybe just briefly sharing, how can you, in what way, to be really mindful, and what tool do you use to have an impact on the field in the next coming week? So I'll see you later in the room. We go to another room.
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you, Karen. I'll go. Welcome, Dirk and Vivian. I think it's Vivian, your name. So I'm Eliane. I'm in Valle de Bravo. It's a little town with a little lake near Mexico City.
Oh, wow.
And I can totally relate with you. I have been feeling very fragile and in Spanish you say chippy when you really connect to these strong emotions, and crying for little things. And so I believe that this virus, life is perfect. So it puts us with the people we need to connect to. And I have been living my dream of having my 3 young adults. I have 3 boys with me, 1 girlfriend, and I was very worried about my mother, so I brought her in also. And it has been such a challenge to manage all the emotions and the housework, and I feel like I'm cooking all the time, and I want to work, and I have all these things to prepare. And so, Renata, this compassion, which is actually what I teach, you always teach what you need to learn. And so I have been struggling with this feeling of not accomplishing or not being productive, which I think it's the learning we're supposed to have in this stopping. So it's interesting how it's like what you have to learn and what you have to give away to the world is life teaches it to you in such small little things and experiences. So I think what I want to do different this week is to truly appreciate the little things I'm always doing to this field. And just enjoy it deeply. And Karen, the part of the nature, it is our teacher. So appreciation, I think, is the energy I want to tap in more and more this week. Thank you.
System's going to be suppressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey.
Hey, you're just in time. You're next to share.
Turn on the audio. Have you all shared then?
I just finished. You're next.
Well, we hopped through the rooms. I can briefly speak for myself. We start a new program with the veterans, with women, and to affect the field there, and who can support the women in their journey. We hold space and we breathe. We feel compassion while we breathe and connect with our hearts. And this is when we change the field environment. Even though we're not physically with them, that doesn't matter, of course. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but for you, it's probably similar, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Just for the week coming up is just to be really mindful of pauses and listening, really, because we are back in clinic again tomorrow. And so it really is an intention each time going in. And I sometimes wish that I had as much of an intention for myself and my own actions in my own life personally as I do for others in the clinic. So now that I'm talking, I think maybe that's what I'll be aware of this week in my schedule, which is very full these days, is to be more mindful of my own personal approach to my things in my personal life. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Has everybody had a turn in this room?
Not yet. We still have Sue Ann.
Okay, so we're gonna hop out so that we can pop in every room. So thank you so much for Rel for asking us to putting us in the hot seat.
There you go.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you back in the main room.
Oh, hey guys.
It's not about us. We just
I just finished. We all spoke.
We are finished. It was excellent.
It was therapy. It was therapy.
Therapy for all of us. I think for me it was therapy. So my neuroses have left for a little while.
A moment.
You know, a thought that just came to my mind. Hi, Dirk and Hillary. I met you at Summerhill that one time, but you know, there was a lot of people there, so I'm sure you don't remember. But anyway, you know, when you get really tired, like I have I deal with chronic fatigue, and when I get really fatigued, I find my brain is like my mood and everything is starting to, and even if I do a lot of meditating and that throughout the day, but yeah, I don't know, just if I go into meditation when I'm tired and try which for me that puts in my coherence, I'm falling asleep because I'm so tired. But that's not what I'm wanting to do. But I know that's what my body's wanting to do. But anyway.
You know what, though? It's really important that you say that, because we get asked all the time, what's the difference between meditation and specifically heart math breathing? And so it's a really important point, because I understand what you're saying about the falling asleep during a meditation. With breathing and what we teach at the clinic, the heart math specifically, that breathing, it is not about falling asleep. It's not a sleepy headed state. It's actually activating the area of your heart. And so these moments are done with your eyes open. Talk about meeting the world with your eyes open, you know, walking to the kitchen, doing the dishes, and being aware of your breath. So whatever those little points are in your day where you can attach your breathing, you don't need to carve out 20 minutes. You don't need to turn the lights down and set the music and lay down. You can do this in real time. And this is what we practice on the calls at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. So we each have a moment in that hour, even if it's 2 minutes. That's all it takes for us to tap in. So just know that moving forward, that you can, for this next week coming up, I don't know if any of you came up with, you know, breathing being one of your tools that you would like to use more coming into the week. I'm not sure. For me, I shared that, yes, for sure. There's always more add-in times that I can do it. I'm being a little more focused on the quality, not how much time I spend doing it.
Yeah, and maybe added to that, Yvonne, is that it's, and I want to acknowledge, if you're tired or if people are very stressed, or have trauma, our nerve system is compromised, then the body says, finally, you give me a break when you breathe like that, and the body gets very tired often, and it is what it is. And yes, what Hillary says, it is actually good to create coherence when you are maybe outside, keep yourself awake, and you still can create that coherence. We didn't really want to say much, but we're just walking through a couple of the rooms. So we'll go to a next room, and we'll probably break up in 1 or 2 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, we have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
So I love that you guys were all connecting. I see so many familiar on the call and people I haven't seen for years. And so, yes, we'll now we'll see you back in the room. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
I have other friends. Hey, Dirk, like Dirk, and us running into each other at Resonance Retreat last July, August with Nassim Herman, and he had his Coherence hotspot there. So yeah, they were just asking me about what I did, and I didn't even know where to start.
Did you already share what you are doing for this week?
For this week, yes.
To contribute to the toroidal field?
Yes, yeah, breath work. Yeah, a lot of my breath work, and then going into the heart resonance through the Merkaba and my teachings from Toroidal.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, ladies, enough of me.
I just wanted to let everybody know that I found the Qigong thing. If you subscribe to YOQI, Yoki, that is her subscription to YouTube, and you can get all her videos, including the 30-minute one. I was just explaining, Dirk and Hillary, that I'm integrating Qigong because I find for me it helps my heart coherence to last longer.
Beautiful.
And it really starts to kind of move through my body continuously when I do Qigong.
Yes, cool. Very
awesome.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
It's great when we can figure out what a tool is in order to use a tool. Whatever it is that we can use to help us get into that tool of heart math breathing is perfect, because it doesn't always just happen on its own. Some of us need music, some of us need a comfy place to sit, some of us need our dog or our cat, and some of us need Qigong, whatever it is. If we can add those things in, it's beautiful. So yeah, thanks, Deb, for sharing. I think we have.
Yeah, we're opening up the room, so you can keep sharing, but we'll come all together. Yeah. So we'll see in a little bit.
Welcome back, everybody. I think we're all just coming back into the main room now. I'm not sure if everybody's had a chance to share. Yes. So while we're waiting for us all to come back into the main room, maybe if you could put in the chat, in the comments, how that felt to share, and if you got any great ideas, and if you did, what they were, because we love reading the chats.
Yeah,
you can even take this opportunity as people are coming back in to go back into your breath. Just see where you're at. Thank you.
Hi, Dirk. I finally made it.
Good.
Yes, thank you.
Happy.
Mm-hmm.
See you. Leti, can you mute yourself? There's a bit of a background noise, and then we'll just take a breath together. Super.
Is everyone in?
Yeah.
So the last time we met last Sunday, I threw it out there and I asked if anybody would be interested in doing a mini course. We have Dirk had dropped the links in for our new program, Mind Your Worldview, and obviously the Hotspotter training. But we offered out a mini online course. And so we've actually put that together. It's what we essentially teach. It's part of what we teach on a daily basis in the clinic, and it's what we know and believe is so helpful. We learn heart math breathing, but it's more than that. So what we've come up with is 2 90-minute sessions via Zoom, where we're with you for that full 90 minutes. And the first date is May 3rd, so it's next Sunday. And it is the bullet points kind of for that first day are human filters, our emotional drivers, right? So our programs, our filters, our perspective, the emotional drivers, and who am I? Like, who am I actually? And so the beautiful thing about this is we'll go through the content, some of the content of our program, and then we'll discuss it and how it actually applies in real time. And the second Sunday is May 10th. And I know that's Mother's Day. And I think that's even beautiful, because if any of you maybe have a mom that you want to bring into that kind of a course and learn together, it's interactive and it's bite-sized pieces. So the second one is also 90 minutes, and they both start at noon. And it is getting into the brain waves. So we explain a little bit about the different brain waves and how that is our emotional body, like what's happening in the body when the different brainwave patterns are happening. We'll be talking about resilience, obviously, and the science behind that, the heart math science. And then again, shifting our state, because that's what we're looking at doing. We're looking at shifting out of the states of maybe exhaustion or fear, whatever they are, and how to do that, how that actually works. And practicing again in real time with us.
Yeah, and I'd like to also notice there's quite a few people who are familiar with heart math, but there's many different ways to shift your state. We work with veterans all the time, and this heart math is a beautiful way to connect you with your heart, but there's different ways there, yeah.
Yeah, I see someone putting down here, Wim Hof, oh, that's Claude, yes. So yes, we do. We talk about the different tools and what's applicable.
Yeah.
What we've learned is that we can teach somebody, you can give them all the knowledge. There's tons of knowledge out there. There's lots of science and there's lots of free webinars and courses and everything else you can go to, but what actually applies, what's tangible, what's actionable that we can use. Yeah. And so there's many different tools, many different ways. And some of them were mentioned in the breakout rooms today.
Yeah. Yeah, so May 3rd and May 10th, 2 Sundays, right after this. Well, we make this call a little shorter, like 45 minutes or so. And then we start at noon, Vancouver time, Pacific time. And it will be a small group. So it's only, we can have 20 people max there.
Drop the link in?
No, not yet. We'll put it in the email.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 20 people max. A few people have signed up. Yeah. But if you want to really participate in this learning together, where we apply a lot of the cool science and our experience in working with veterans, you know, we have this, the clinic where we are funded through Veteran Affairs. This is a beautiful program. We teach the science, we bring them into their hearts, and so we learn together. Hilary has given the topics. We'll drop you a link so you can straight go to that program. There's only 20 places left. If it's fully booked, we'll probably do another one.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about just limiting it to 20 people is so that it can be interactive and you can have your questions answered and you can practice. And because that's what we know, we could sit and just talk and it could be all about us for an hour on these Sunday webinars, but we know that's not the purpose. The purpose is for us to connect with each other. And we know we can connect, like we have worldwide here today. Like, it is so amazing to see all the places that you're from. So yeah, so the course is 2 Sundays, 90 minutes, and it's $45.
I'm just reading the thing here, people. So $45. So we've been doing this for free, and we keep doing this for free. But of course, something also needs to get us keep going. And $45 is actually, it's pretty cheap. But we want you to understand this. This is the essence of where we are at this moment, given moment in time. And if we can help you with that, we can learn together. That is pretty cool. So just keep an eye on your email, because you will find the link there.
Yeah, and I do. I think it's super great. I'm very excited about doing it. Sometimes we think, where are we going to put all these ideas that we have into place? Linear time and space. Do we have time for it? And we don't really. We don't have time for this, but it's what juices us up. It's what we're really excited about, is actually being able to spend time with you for 90 minutes to go over all the things that we teach in our daily clinic work, and see the aha moments go off, and see the beauty in it. So I think Dirk is screen sharing right now, or
No,
maybe he's not. Okay.
Maybe I'll drop the link, but I don't know even if you can click the link. So if you can click on the link, you can already, if you want, you can get to the course. So we'll just drop in the link here now. And sorry, I dropped the link in here just to one person. That's not so smart. There it is.
Technology.
Is that it? Can we go
And so we have 2 minutes, which is perfect, at least 2 minutes to go back into our breath.
Wow, it almost feels like this was staged. 2 minutes.
This was,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, that goes by so fast for me. This hour together goes by so fast. I don't know what it goes by for anybody else, but maybe in the chat before you log off, if you could maybe just share what you what your takeaway from today was. Did you learn something? What was it? Or what sparked your heart? What did you hear that was maybe helpful? Or if you have questions, we can maybe look at dealing with those next Sunday. I don't know. Well, I just love to see what you guys have to say. And
yes, and we saw a couple of questions in the chat. We'll save the chat, so we go through things, and we'll get back to you also. In case you miss an email or you don't think you're on the list yet, we try to make sure that everybody's on the list. And you don't see anything coming in today, then just go to connect@coherencehotspot.com and drop us an email. Just take a breath together. And I like to do that with the entire screen on there with people. And while you're breathing, why don't you keep your eyes open for a minute and just look at all those beautiful people who are breathing with you. And feel the air flow through your heart space. There's nothing we have to do. We don't have to be smart with this. We just breathe. I always say it's the first thing that we did when we left our mom's womb. We started breathing. Nobody taught us how to do it. Maybe feel the gratitude in your heart when you breathe. Maybe the deep connection. Maybe you feel that you have more impact on the field than anybody has ever been telling you before. And that we're moving into a beautiful future just because of what we do here, and millions of people do with us around the planet. Not always at the same time, but it doesn't matter. And keep feeling that airflow. And maybe anchor that feeling in your heart space when you go through your day. Somebody's triggering you, or a situation is triggering you. I'm looking at some specific people at this moment. And so just go to your breath and feel that you'll be fine when you stay grounded in your heart space. Before we sign off, I saw that the link might not be clickable. Maybe you can copy paste it, and otherwise you find it in the email. Don't worry, we'll get to this.
And yeah, the question goes out just for ending now. It's 12:01. Is what are you, for the intention for the week, what are you feeding the field? Right? So we just imagine and picture that toroidal field around your heart, around your system, and around everybody else. And so we'll be really interested to see how that felt in our chats next week. So thank you all so much for coming. Dirk always likes to ask everybody at the end to say goodbye, to unmute yourself. and say goodbye, because it's super fun at the end to see everyone saying goodbye. But did you have one other thing you wanted to say?
No, it's just,
Okay.
I'm so grateful for all of you. I really, really am. And if you like this, if you feel that is helping Joy, invite your friends, let's build this larger. So big hugs to all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Heart to everybody.
Good night.
Really,
Thank
see
you.
The balcony, love it.
Bye,
everyone. Bye-bye.
Blessings to all.
I'll give you a call, Tom.
Bye, Yvonne.
Yeah, give me a call, Billy.
Bye, Yvonne.
Hi, Kimberly.
Looking forward to
Hi,
connecting with
Lark.
Southern France. Thank you.
Nice to see
Sending
you.
heart to everybody.
Bye, Monique.
Bye, Mary Lou.